ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming, for joining us. Today we have a great pleasure to meet one of our foreign visiting professors, Dr. Dragan Dakic, who is going to present his evaluation of our young academy, our Collegium Intermarium. Dragan is going to say something in fact, to summarize his stay in Poland at our university, where he was trying to evaluate all fields of our activities. Dragan spent here 3 weeks, and I'm very glad to say it that Dragan has decided to be our constant collaborator in the future too. So it's a great pleasure for us, and thank you very much, Dragan, for this possibility, this wonderful possibility of cooperation with you. So Dragan, as I said, Dragan spent here 3 weeks and be active at our collegium as a lecturer. Dragan had some meetings with our students, with our staff. He was able to know us, know our university, our academy, and right now, at the end of his stay, he's going to present you all his recommendations, suggestions, and remarks regarding our academy. So, Dragan, thank you very much once again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Philip. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, first of all, and it is true honor to be part of this unique academic community as I was in the past 3 weeks. So during my stay, as you know, I had a chance to talk with the students, to interview different group of students, such as bachelor students and LLM students. Also, I had the chance to interact with the staff of Collegium Intermarium. And since I am expert of national accreditation body in Serbia, I have used similar methods that are used for the purpose of accreditation of higher school institutions or programs during my stay here. So I was not doing inquiries or examinations. Still, I was interviewing and applying other methods of learning how things are going here in order to be able to provide sort of evaluation that was agreed. In this regard, as I said at the beginning, so we are talking about new and small community which is just recently emerged and start to develop. It is can be classified in the category of small universities, or as jargon says, boutique universities. But I would like to avoid that reference, since that notion might have undesired synonyms, which are definitely not true in respect to this particular university. What I have seen during my stay here is one of its general features or characteristics that should be developed in future and stay as such. And I can briefly call it student centricism. This means that governing policies and managerial policies of the university are greatly centered around students attending programs here. I could see that through the engagement of both students and dean's office during their studies. So what actually is intended to be developed is actually within the students is that sense of belonging, of membership of this academic community, and perhaps other universities are branding themselves in that way. But what could we see as time had shown? Many of the universities, size doesn't matter in this regard, are actually founded on conflicting values, or at least at competing values, which started to be competitive against each other during the period of time. I think there is no such risk at the Collegium Intermarium because it has synchronized founding values, which will not get into conflict to each other in the future. It is not expected, it cannot be sensibly expected to happen, which will enable its uninterrupted development. I find it very important because when you are pursuing that founding goal of the academic institution, you are immune to many perils which are characterized or are symptomatic for small universities. But I will get to it at a later point. If we try to make comparison, so after this comparison between, let's say, small universities such as Collegium Intermarium with some big universities, that would be the basic distinction, I would say essential distinction, which actually goes in favor of the Collegium Intermarium. Further, if we try to compare Collegium Intermarium with other universities of its format, then there are many comparable elements, I would say, but what I have managed to allocate here is actually that activities at this university are personalized, both learning activities and teaching activities, which is actually expression of student centricism, essentially. And university is actually fostering a sense of belonging, but not just within its staff, but also within its students, which is essentially important for the image and the later rating of this university. What could be underlined, emphasized as, I would say, already great achievement of this academic community, in general categorization, it would be called specialized program or specialized programs. I have identified that Collegium Intermarium has already specialized program, LLM program, which is in its own quite unique due to the distinctive approach to the issues that are taught within that course by the competent colleague professors. And what is the main distinction? I think that we are growing critical thought here in its essence. So we do not have any sort of constraints which are typical for big universities. Of course, there are some challenges and perils which are mostly associated to small universities as this one, but I think if Collegium Intermarium maintains and pursues its founding values, it will be definitely immune to different challenges or perils to academic freedoms that generally is present at small universities. It is immune to these sort of challenges as big university face. I think, as I have already explained, the main reason is non-conflicting founding values. They are not in mutual conflict, they are actually perfectly synchronized, and that's why there are no such perils to academic freedoms at this particular university. Since it is small-sized and well-organized academic community, we can say it has advantage of flexibility, so which can potentially be a great advantage and very effectively used, or very effective tool for further development of the university in respect to its international cooperation, but also in respect to its national or local partnerships that could be beneficial for the students themselves. I'm emphasizing students because they are in the center of activities of this university. So due to its features, as I have briefly described them by now, I think that Collegium Intermarium has a potential which shouldn't be wasted in the field of international cooperation, in the field of its international development. Essentially, I think that it should be one of its primary purposes in the present landscape of universities which we have, at least in Europe. Since most of them are, let's say, decisively directed or decisively characterized by their founding values, which I have already mentioned are sometimes conflicted, and one of them has dominated over others, which characterize them as a sort of institutions that are following or pursuing certain ideological frameworks. In that sense, this looks like a bit of fresh air in the space of universities, since there are no such comparable influences herein. In this sense, as I managed to speak with management of the institution, I can see that they are seriously considering to expand their international cooperation, which is, as I have learned, going to be done through some steps, which includes building expert network, which is very good approach, if I might say, since it implies capacity building, personal capacity, strength, but also it can interconnect Collegium Intermarium with the home institutions of the networking experts. So essentially, when we are talking about development of the institution, we are trying to make some comparable exams. So we are trying to make comparison with something that had already happened to similar sized universities, as we can learn something from their example how to be successful. And of course there are many examples of such universities, and most of them could be very helpful in this regard. But what I could recommend or recognize that the development of institution, especially as this one, should be multi-vector. So the development should go in the direction of strengthening national ties through the partnerships with domestic institutions, domestic scientific institutions, but also domestic NGO sector and other sectors of civil activities. It is crucially important, actually, if we are going to have this comparative approach to other universities. Well, if we take a look at the global level and those universities which are small-sized universities that could be classified as very successful, they do share some common features. Even though there might be different challenges facing to them, they do share some common features which can be helpful experience for Collegium Intermarium itself. In this regard, I would say that a great learning example are universities that belongs to different spectrum of founding values, if I may say so. Because they actually prove to be their approach actually proved to working effective in practice, proves to be working and effective in the practice. What are actually goals successfully achieved by them, which should be also could be transported in this environment? First, it is to build academic excellence, and I think that Collegium Inter Marium, increasing through the increasement of its international cooperation, is following that way exactly how it should. So if we gain as academic community academic excellence in that field, that makes us reliable partners, both for academic cooperation at different scales, as I have mentioned, but also for our students. Another component here, which is not missing here, are international students. I have a chance to see that LLM students are not just domestic Polish students, but also they are international students, which is quite encouraging since this is a new university. Some universities are existing for a long period of time without any success in this regard, which is sort of promising indication in respect to the future and impact that Collegium Inter Marium is going to have in this regard. What is another characteristic of successful small-sized universities are, let's say, rigorous programs. So their curriculum are strictly defined and very demanding towards students. So I guess the idea behind that is, again, reflection of the first goal to create academic excellence. So along to the academic excellence in respect to your staff, you should also develop academic expertise of academic expertise of the students that are educated here. And if we provide that, definitely then we are closer to globally successful academic communities. Sometimes when I see the ways how it is done, I'm commenting that we can see sort of modern monasteries. Some of universities are actually have all features of sort of modern monasteries. They're distincted from the urban areas. They have their own campuses which are not quite accessible. They develop let's say, sort of living that trains students for a certain way of life and for the certain activism in social sphere. What are they say in their curriculums is insisting on development of critical thought. And I think that in the academic sense, along to the founding values, in the academic sense, it is the main attribute of the Collegium Inter Marium. So the need for Collegium Inter Marium is written in the critical thought. It is arising from the necessity to develop critical thought in its full scope and full meaning. So not developing purposed critical thought, which is of course legitimate, but still it shouldn't be the only way how critical thought is developing. I think that this is main contribution of this academic community, is development of critical thought in its original, or as perhaps it's more acceptable to say, in its broader sense. Another feature which is present at comparable institution and which should be recommended also here is individualized majors. So the students, I have seen it also at some developed big universities, where students actually do have a chance to get individualized major subject of their education. It is truly important for them because the science has developed very much in this day and it keeps progressing. So what we have marked as a subject matter of one major is actually a very extensive area and can be very demanding to expect from the students to have knowledge in each niche of majors. So the idea is to enable students to select what is offered within the major, within its curriculum and description, and in order to direct their knowledge and direct their education in a way they want to be educated and in the way of getting competencies they want for their career. So it can be done in several ways. There might be some, let's say, formalistic obstacles to it. So because when you are getting permission to perform some study program, usually you have to enumerate and strictly stick to the list of majors and the topics. But how some universities are doing this individualization, which I find crucial in nowadays due to the level of scientific development. So generally major subjects are offering very broad, almost everything within the field, scientific field. And of course professors and students are not expected to, from one hand, teach all, to lecture it all, because there are not so many classes, and to learn all from the other hand. Getting knowledge in all of those fields is not always necessary, or it is not always beneficial for students themselves. I'm a professor of public international law, which is a very broad area, so I cannot expect my students to be experts in each of niche of international public law, since I'm not an expert in each of them myself. I do have some knowledges, but I cannot claim to be expert in all of them, of course. So what is the idea is to offer to students everything, for instance, from the field of international public law, but enabling them to make arrangement with their mentor which areas should be focusing on. It depends on the title, on skills they want to have after they graduate. So it is possible to be done within different legal frameworks regulating curriculum and permissions, accreditations, etc., etc. And as I have said, community activism is a very important attribute of successful small universities, which is stimulated here. As I have learned, there are some scholarship or stipendium programs for active students. So it's the way how to brand yourself, but not just in the sense of PR, but also in reality, how to brand yourself as a successful academic institution. Basically, those would be the main observations in respect to the Collegium Intermarium and its academic environment. And in that sense, my honest recommendation would be to keep going in the direction of building international network. It's very important. Of course, Collegium Intermarium, after a while, after it gains institutional competencies, I believe it already has, but when we are talking about different vectors for international cooperation, we should follow sector-specific rules that are usually requiring some formal recognition reflected through successful projects at national level and through strong international network. And I think that Collegium Intermarium is going in good direction when it's building its capacities in that sense, which enable it to become at least the regional leader in the field of its expertise, that is in the field of niche of its expertise, since it cannot cover all scientific fields, of course, and it is not ambition of the small university. Still, it needs to, and it will, it already is progressing very much in that direction, to brand itself as an expert within the certain niche of law, exactly. And if I may say, at higher levels of education offered at the Collegium Intermarium, human rights are the main focus, as I can see. And it is, of course, very important to have that area covered for many reasons. We can say the first reason is are effects that this field of law has to different branches of law, but also to very broad, almost all sphere of private lives. So basically it is crucial to have experts in that area and to be competent to educate students in that area. The next step, which is going to pursue it, is to participate in regional projects or global projects, but for the beginning those could be realistic approaches, regional projects that will have impact in this area. And of course this could be the coordinating institution for many of such potential activities within the region. That basically would be all I had planned to say for this occasion. I think that now we should offer the audience to ask some questions. So.
Yes, Mr. Dakic, I have one question for you as a student at the Collegium Intermarium University. During our education as young people, we of course pass exams, read the sessions, we give papers, we do apprenticeships, but all this has a purpose, right? And what do you think should be the most important goal for us as a student? What should this most important purpose be? Thanks so much.
Thank you, dear colleague, for this question. Well, basically, we should distinguish between level of studies in answering that question. So, at the bachelor level of studies, undergraduate level of studies, it is first important to gain legal literacy. So you need to have some basic knowledge about the law itself and how it was developed and perhaps where it is going. And what would be the most important thing for you is actually how would I think as a student of a small university? I would, I guess I would, or at least I would try to use its advantages as much as possible. And those advantages are availability of resources, since they are not, students groups are not large, so you are actually not just a number, you are the name here. And as such, you have all the resources of the institution available, all of course designed for the students, but that's what should be used by you. And under that, I think that as a student, I would try to get engaged in academic life of this community and also to contribute to its international rating. And there are different ways how to do that, which are especially accessible for the students of your age. In that regard, the most important activity would be participation at student activities at European level. So each conferences, students integration, and different sort of traveling activities should be done. How can you be the ambassador of your faculty? Of course, today it is quite practical when you're posting photos or images, just tag your faculty, and that's the way how to increase its visibility. And also, as a stronger institution, your institution is, you will have more appreciation by your colleagues. And of course, I think that that is from the international perspective. But from the national perspective, you can contribute actually in its development by proposing and leading some local partnerships with local institutions, which can be very helpful for your career once when you graduate and when you need to start working. You would, of course, have more chances if you already cooperated with some institution or company during your studies than when you appear as no-name person. And that can be also beneficial for you and your institution. From my perspective, what I'm telling to my students and what I will teach my children when time comes is that this element called international cooperation, which is actually international experience, is the most important thing. And it is, as I said, very accessible to you as Polish students, and the students of and the people of your age have many possibilities in this regard. So I would opt for such sort of experiences. This will enable your career prospects to go better as compared to your colleagues which do not have this kind of experiences. It is even possible to calculate how much money those people with international experience are actually earning as compared to their colleagues without of international experience. So I'm encouraging students wherever I can to gain international experience. Crucially important for career and for personal development as well.
Could you say, do you think that the universities like Collegium Intermarium, the small classical universities, can play a big role in the education system of countries in Intermarium region?
Well, that's what I had in mind when I said that Collegium Intermarium has a great potential to develop regional cooperation foremost and to have a leading role in it. Yes, I think that this university has attributes, has faculties which will enable it to be the engine for such a project. And this is hugely important for its students and staff as well. So I think that there is a rising idea or awareness of necessity to create such a sort of academic integration and cooperation. This will enable you to better understand your cultural heritage, but also the cultural heritage of your neighbors. It is really important to know, as lawyers, which are our legal values and approach to law. I can say, based on my international experiences, that those approaches are very distinctive across the Europe itself. If we could make some, I'm doing it quite often when I teach international law, so I'm presenting students different approaches to international law. One of them is mostly accepted by so-called Global South, while different approaches accepted by so-called Global North. And that's how I can actually see where is the border between Global South and Global North in the people's mind, in the minds of pupils, of students, not in the political or any sense. So students are mostly not aware of these approaches and their different theoretical perspectives, but majority of them is applying for one or another. It was sort of surprising for me. I do not have that much experience to make some claims, but it was surprising to me that most of the students which I have met here are perceiving institutes of international law in accordance to the approach within the classical school of international law. Why it was surprising? Since Poland is part of European integration, which along to economical and political also implies some ideological axiom. So basically, as a part of such an integration, it would be reasonable to expect that along to other integrative elements, that ideological axiom has also been introduced here, which proves to be not true. So it is actually one of advantages of Poland, and it should be perceived by different European universities and countries as such, because it actually adds value to the, if I may say, mainstream European approach to different issues. And I don't know if I have answered your questions comprehensively. Thank you.